Hey y'all, it's Mel. For those of you who don't know me, welcome. For those of you who have seen my videos, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. I posted this video about why I quit my job as a registered nurse. So this video is kind of like a video answering questions that I've been getting. I will be touching base on like what I feel like my least stressful nursing job was. What I feel like the easiest nursing job was, what I feel like was the job that caused like the highest burnout rate, or the hardest type of job that I've had. So first I'm gonna start off what I feel like my least stressful nursing specialty was. So I would definitely have to say, I don't know if this counts as a specialty, but if I had to choose one, I would definitely say the COVID vaccine clinic that I did. That was very, that was cake. That was so easy. Like I literally was only responsible for giving vaccines, monitoring patients just to make sure they didn't have any type of reaction, and basically like guiding the line to make sure everything, because it was such a big thing, it was so crowded, so just to make sure people were like distanced and everything. So that's probably not a specialty, but that was definitely the easiest. That was the least stressful. It was still like stressful physically on the body, but it's nothing compared to what I feel like is the hardest type of job. What I feel like is the job that had like the highest burnout rate, which was bedside nursing. I did bedside nursing, and I was working in the ICU with a lot of ventilated patients, with a lot of patients on different drips and things like that. Patients who were completely dependent, who couldn't feed themselves, who couldn't use the bathroom, who couldn't turn themselves. So that was very mentally and physically exhausting, just because you're responsible for so much. Like you're responsible for multiple patients, or at least I was responsible. Even in the ICU, I had I think the most I had was maybe like 4 patients in ICU. Multiple were on drips, and it was just like a staffing shortage. Like I voiced my concerns about it and how I felt unsafe, but unfortunately they did not do anything to help in that situation. They just was like, so at that point I'm just like, this job, like it had like a high burnout rate. I kept going into burnout, and on top of that I felt like my license was in jeopardy. So all those things, like especially when you're short staffed and you don't have that support, you don't have that mental support, you don't have that emotional, that physical, that actual support, like help with patients and things like that, it was too much. So that definitely, the bedside was definitely the hardest type of nursing. But if I had to choose like an actual specialty that I stayed in for like more than a year, that I felt like was the easiest, that was the least stressful, it was definitely working at a family care practice. I worked at a family care practice. So I got to work with people anywhere from like infants to older adults. There was a lot of office type work, triage. I ran the flu clinic. So a lot of giving flu shots, giving immunizations, B12 shots, people who needed PPDs for work. They needed to have them placed. They needed to have them read. That was definitely the least stressful nursing specialty for me. The only thing is I wasn't getting paid enough. Like I'm somebody who wants to like elevate in the position I'm in, or at least like be able to rise up and to have that increase in money. You know, everybody wants to get an increase in money and a raise, but they just weren't doing it. And on top of that, they were putting more responsibilities onto my plate, minus the raise. So I'm like, oh no, I got to get up out of here, because how am I getting more responsibility, but you're not trying to give me a raise? It doesn't add up. I know that they were trying to add more stuff onto my plate because I was the only nurse in the entire family care practice. Triage and like medication prescriptions that patients would call in, so like medication refills and all those things, it was on me. And it was okay. Like it was definitely the least stressful job because it was a Monday through Friday, 7 to 4. I wasn't working 12-hour shifts. I was pretty much able to yeah, I was definitely able to get my breaks when I needed to get my breaks. I was able to eat, I was able to drink water, use the bathroom, all that good stuff. So if you are trying to consider like the least stressful or the easiest, of course this is my opinion, a lot of people will tell you something different, so you really gotta just see what it is that you're comfortable with and what it is that you are willing to experience, like what it is that you want. Everybody has different needs, wants, all that good stuff. But for me, I was in, like I mentioned in my last video, like all the specialties that I was in. I'll just recap real quick. I was in ICU, long-term acute care, med surge, women's prison, the family care practice, a pharmaceutical company. That was okay. That was like an office type setting too. The pharmaceutical company that I worked in, it was a lot of trial drugs for like different cancers and things like that. So we had to take, I forget what these reports were called, but basically patients called in who were taking our drugs, like the trial drugs, and they were reporting like adverse events and things like that. So we had to type up these long reports and really listening and getting everything that the client said. I think that job just became tedious after a while, and it was just like, all right, you know, that was definitely something that I would not want to do long term, but it was cool to kind of see how that was. So I feel like that was one of the least stressful specialties too, working at a pharmaceutical company as a nurse. But again, they didn't pay as well as, you know, like a bedside position or those positions that cause you like all this stress. It's really about what you want, you know, it's about what you want, what your preferences are, because of course everybody's different. But Mary had a question about student loans. So wait, let me just see what her question was. Okay, so Mary wanted to know if I took out any student loans. So I did take out student loans, but I didn't go like the traditional nursing route. So what I did was I started off at a community college. So I started off with my associates in nursing, and I definitely recommend this way if you are considering nursing. I started off with my associate's degree. It was way cheaper than going the traditional 4-year route. So I started off with that. I did take out student loans, but it was nowhere near the amount of like what the average person takes out for student loans. I don't owe a lot of money in student loans, so that definitely wasn't something that was like on my mind while I was working. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I got to pay my student loans off, because that wasn't like a stressful thing for me, because I didn't have to take out like a lot of student loans. But I did take out some student loans. But that definitely wasn't my concern while working. I actually went back to school to get my bachelor's degree online. And when I tell you, this was like one of the hardest things that I have done, because I did like an accelerated 9-month program, because I just wanted to get it done. I wanted to get it out the way. And when you do like an associate's to a bachelor's degree, there's a lot of writing, a lot of writing. So I did that accelerated program, and that was literally, I was working 12-hour shifts in the ICU at that time. So that was literally all that I was doing. I was working my 12 hours. I was writing my papers. Like, I just remember the feeling of wanting to do other stuff, but it was like, oh, I don't have time to squeeze in nothing else. And that's another thing. It's a lot, but it's doable. So I did that. But altogether, like my loans, I took out a loan for that. But my loans are way under. Like they low. So student loans was definitely not a concern of mine. I feel like what was on my mind while working, when I first started nursing, like I really did enjoy it. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the satisfaction that came with it. I enjoyed the patients, the conversation, meeting family members, and just talking to people and just meeting people and feeling good at the end of the day that I helped somebody, like I saved a life or whatever. But that all got kind of faded when it started to take a toll on my mental and physical health, because it's like that effect that it had on my mental and physical health, it kind of clouded all that other stuff. So when you get burned out and stuff like that, it's just like you can't see nothing else. So yeah, I was still grateful, like I was still enjoying my patients and things like that. But when you burnt out, you tend to get like easily irritable, frustrated, annoyed, zero energy, and just mentally and physically drained and exhausted, because you're literally not feeding your body. You know, like you're not watering your body, so you're not drinking water, you're not feeding yourself like you should be, you're not using the bathroom, emptying your bladder. And it's just like you're not taking care of yourself. So how can you expect to have joy taking care of somebody else? At that point, when you're not able to take care of yourself, but you're still expected to take care of all these patients, you're going to start to build up some resentment towards either your job, your patients, or yourself, because it's like, well, what about me? Your mind is like, hold on now. How are you taking care of other people, but you can't take care of us? So I definitely did love even the bedside nurse in the ICU. I loved it when I first started out, but just constantly going into in and out of burnout cycles, it made me build that resentment or that feeling like I got to get out of here. I got to find something else to do because this is not it. So that's one thing, like as I was trying all these different specialties, because I would always hear people say, oh, you'll find your specialty and things like that. So I'm like, all right, so I'm going to try these different areas. And I didn't have any luck. So something that was on my mind when I was working as a registered nurse, like in a hospital and things like that, is when I remember this vividly. It was this older nurse helping me do something with a patient. And I said something. I don't remember what I said, but she was like, girl, you got 40 more years of this. And I was like, no, I don't. I do not have 40 years of anything. And I just always had this mindset. I've always been able to go after what it was that I wanted. I was always financially stable and good in that area. But I felt in my soul that I'm not meant to work for somebody for the rest of my life. And that's just me personally. Like, it's nothing wrong with working for someone if that's what you want to do. I'm not saying that, because everybody got their preferences, like I always say. But me, I felt in my soul that that was not it for me. It was not it. It wasn't it. It wasn't going to be it. And that was that. But when she said that, I'm just in my head like, I don't have 40 years. No, 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 no. So I always felt like I was meant to do something outside of working for somebody. So actually, this video got longer than I thought. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it up. And I'm going to do a part 2. So this will be part 1 of the video. And part 2, I'm going to break down in my opinion, like what a good career change was from being a nurse. You know, like what career I transitioned into. What makes my heart sing? That was the question. What my interests are now. So I'm going to make that a part 2 video because this got kind of long. And as usual, you got any questions, you got any comments, you got any concerns, you want to share your personal journey, your personal experience, I'm more than happy to chat with you. If you want me to make any videos, if you got any questions at all, I got you. I got you. I got you. We in this together. We are in this together. We are nurse sisters and brothers. It's a nurse family. And even though I'm not currently practicing as a registered nurse working for somebody else, I'm always going to be a nurse at heart. Like, I worked hard, okay? I worked hard for my degrees. I'm always proud of being a nurse. Like, I'm a nurse at heart. Like, nobody can take that away from you if you want to change careers or whatever. Like, you still aren't. Remember that, because you worked hard for yours. But I'm going to transition into this next video, which is part 2. So I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, and bye.